Another customer left empty-handed. The Reader's Corner had seen better days, but it was mine. Every worn floorboard, every dusty shelf, every forgotten book. I'd built this from nothing after walking away from my family's real estate empire. Seriously, Olivia? My brother Thomas's voice made me look up from the monthly bills I was reviewing. Still playing shopkeeper with your little book collection? He stood there in his designer suit, looking every inch the Parker Real Estate Group executive. Behind him, our sister Diana smirked, tapping her Jimmy Choo heels impatiently. "What do you want, Thomas?" I asked, not bothering to hide my exhaustion. "Dad's retiring," Diana announced, examining my store with poorly concealed disgust. "He's announcing it at next week's shareholders' meeting. The company's going to Thomas, of course." Of course. Thomas, the golden child. The son who'd followed all the rules, gotten his MBA, and married the daughter of another real estate mogul. Unlike me, who'd used my business degree to open a bookstore instead of joining the family empire. "Congratulations," I said flatly. "Is that all?" "Actually," Thomas smiled coldly, "we're here about your lease. Parker Group just bought this building. We're renovating the entire block into luxury condos." My heart stopped. "What?" 30 days notice, Diana said, dropping an envelope on my counter. "Don't worry, we'll handle clearing out all these books." She said the word like it was dirty. I opened the envelope with trembling hands. The eviction notice was real, signed by my own father. "This store is my life," I said quietly. "This store is a joke," Thomas scoffed. "Just like your decision to waste your degree on this little fantasy. What do you even make here, 1,000 a month?" If he only knew. "Come on," Diana urged. "We have that meeting at Morgan Stanley." As they turned to leave, Thomas paused. "You know, it's not too late to come back, Liv. Dad might still give you a junior position if you beg nicely." The bell chimed again as they left, leaving me alone with my books and my secrets. I waited until their expensive car pulled away before pulling out my phone. "Jack? It's time," I said to my lawyer. "Execute Plan B." "Are you sure?" he asked. "Once we do this." "They just tried to evict me from my own building," I said firmly. "Yes, I'm sure." What my family didn't know, what no one knew, was that the Reader's Corner was just the front. Behind the carefully curated image of a struggling bookstore was the headquarters of Phoenix Digital Libraries, the fastest-growing e-book platform in the country. While they thought I was playing shopkeeper, I'd built a digital empire worth billions. Every major publisher used our platform. Every university subscribed to our services. The tiny store was my sanctuary, my reminder of where I started. And the building? I'd bought it through a shell corporation 2 years ago, along with half the commercial properties in Manhattan. The Parker Group had just tried to buy a building I already owned. I looked around my beloved bookstore, touching the spines of old volumes. They thought this place was my weakness. They had no idea it was command central for my revenge. Opening my laptop, I checked my offshore accounts. The last piece was in place, controlling interest in Parker Group, acquired slowly through various shell companies over the past 5 years. Next week's shareholders meeting was going to be interesting. Dad wanted to retire? Perfect timing. The bell chimed again. This time it was my assistant, Sarah, carrying coffee and a thick folder. "Everything's ready," she said. Morgan Stanley confirmed the timing. "When the news breaks about Phoenix Digital's true ownership and value." I smiled. The Parker Group won't know what hit them. Looking out my dusty store window at the Manhattan skyline, I could see the Parker Group building my building, though they didn't know it yet. Soon, very soon, they'd learn that while they were busy mocking my tiny store, I'd been buying their empire right out from under them. Sometimes the best revenge is letting people underestimate you. Right up until the moment you own everything they thought they were taking from you. The morning of the shareholders' meeting, I dressed carefully in a designer suit I'd bought years ago but never worn. The struggling bookstore owner image had served its purpose. Today everything would change. As I walked into Parker Group's headquarters, memories flooded back. The marble lobby where Dad used to parade us around as children, showing off his perfect family. The elevator where Thomas once told me I'd never understand real business. The top-floor conference room where I'd announced I was leaving to open a bookstore, met with laughter and ridicule. "Miss, you need to sign in," the security guard called out. I smiled. "Check your updated list." Olivia Parker, majority shareholder. His eyes widened as he verified his tablet. Word would spread fast now. In the elevator, my phone buzzed with a text from Sarah. CNBC breaking news ready. Wall Street Journal article goes live in 20 minutes. Morgan Stanley presentation prepared. The doors opened to chaos. Executives hurried through hallways, papers clutched in their hands, faces pale. My presence caused double takes and whispers. Someone must have checked the shareholder registry this morning. Olivia. Diana's voice cracked behind me. What are you doing here? This is a private meeting. Private for shareholders, I corrected, walking past her. Which I am. That's impossible, she followed me, heels clicking frantically. You can't afford. Breaking news. A TV on the wall interrupted her. Phoenix Digital Libraries, the ebook platform valued at $8.2 billion, reveals its founder and CEO, Olivia Parker. Diana stopped breathing. The conference room fell silent as I walked in. Dad sat at the head of the table, looking older than I remembered. Thomas stood frozen mid-sentence, his face turning an interesting shade of red. Please, I said smoothly, don't stop on my account. What is this? Dad demanded. Why are you here? The better question, I replied, taking a seat, is why are you trying to sell my building? Your building. Thomas laughed, but it sounded hollow. That deteriorating block we bought. Actually, my lawyer Jack interrupted, walking in with a stack of documents. Ms. Parker owns that entire block through Phoenix Holdings. In fact, she owns this building too. The room erupted in chaos. Board members whispered furiously, checking their phones as news of Phoenix Digital's true ownership spread. The stock markets would open soon, and Parker Group's shares would plummet as mine soared. Impossible, Dad whispered. That bookstore barely breaks even. I pulled out my laptop, connecting it to the presentation screen. The bookstore was never meant to make money, Dad. It was my cover while I built something bigger. Something you all thought I was too stupid to achieve. The Phoenix Digital platform appeared on screen, the same platform every major publisher and university now depended on. My platform. My empire. While you were busy mocking my tiny store, I continued, I was digitizing the future of publishing and buying up real estate through shell companies, including controlling interest in Parker Group. Thomas collapsed into his chair. How long? 5 years, I replied. Every time you came to ridicule my store, I owned more of your company. That merger you celebrated last year? I approved it. That building renovation you planned? I funded it. Dad's hands trembled as he reached for his water glass. Why? Because you taught me well, I said softly. Just not the lesson you intended. You taught me that people who underestimate you are your greatest advantage. The door burst open as a Morgan Stanley team entered. Time for the final act. Now, I stood up, straightening my jacket. Let's discuss the real reason I'm here. Dad wants to retire? Perfect. But Thomas won't be taking over. Then who? Diana demanded. I smiled, thinking of my beloved bookstore downtown. Sometimes the smallest shop hides the biggest secrets. And sometimes the daughter you dismissed builds an empire right under your nose. The Morgan Stanley presentation began, showing exactly how completely I now controlled the company that had once rejected me. Sometimes revenge doesn't need to be loud. Sometimes it just needs to be thorough. By evening, the business world was buzzing with headlines. Phoenix Digital CEO acquires Parker Group. Bookstore owner revealed as tech billionaire. Olivia Parker, the silent empire builder. I sat in my my office, looking out at the city lights. The door opened softly. The papers are all signed, Jack announced. You now officially control both companies. And my family? Thomas resigned. Diana too. Your father. Jack hesitated. He's waiting outside. I nodded. Send him in. Dad entered, looking smaller than I remembered. Gone was the arrogant real estate tycoon who'd laughed at my bookstore dreams. In his place stood an old man who'd just realized how badly he'd underestimated his daughter. That store, he said quietly. All those times we mocked you. Was exactly what I wanted, I finished. The perfect cover. Who would suspect a failing bookstore owner of building a tech empire? He sank into a chair. You bought everything, didn't you? Not just the company. Everything, I confirmed. The buildings, the contracts, the subsidiaries. Even your prized downtown development project? I approved those designs 6 months ago. Why keep the bookstore? He asked. Now that everyone knows. I smiled, thinking of my beloved shop. Because it reminds me of something important. Never judge a book by its cover. My phone buzzed, a message from Thomas. We should have listened. We should have seen. Yes, I typed back. You should have. Dad stood to leave, then paused. What happens now? Now. I looked around the office, already planning changes. Now I run both companies. Phoenix Digital continues revolutionizing publishing, and Parker Group enters the 21st century. And the bookstore? Stays exactly as it is, I said firmly. A reminder that small dreams can hide big ambitions. After he left, I went down to the lobby. The doorman, who'd known my secret for months, smiled. Good evening, Miss Parker. Good evening, James. If my brother comes by. He grinned. Don't worry. I'll enjoy telling him again who owns the building. In my car, I directed my driver to the Reader's Corner. The store was closed, but lights spilled from the windows. Sarah was inside organizing books. Keeping up appearances? She asked as I entered. No, I replied, running my fingers along the familiar shelves. Keeping perspective. The bell above the door chimed softly, the same sound that had accompanied years of mockery from my family. Now it sounded like victory. I picked up an old copy of The Art of War and smiled. Sometimes the smallest store can hide the biggest secrets. And sometimes that's exactly the way it should be. The next morning, a new nameplate appeared on the bookstore's door, below the faded Reader's Corner sign. Olivia Parker, owner. Parker Group and Phoenix Digital CEO. Because sometimes the best revenge